He was absent for just a couple of seconds, but he's here now. Senator Dalen Leach.
Vote out! Vote out! Vote out! Vote out! Vote out!
Vote out! Back in March, when we passed the infamous voter ID bill, for the first time since photography was invented 180 years ago, people were required to show photo ID even to people they knew for 50 years in order to exercise their right to vote. At the time, some of us, most of the people standing up here, said that this was a cynical, deplorable, shameful attempt to gain partisan advantage by disenfranchising masses of voters who don't vote correctly in the eyes of the people who passed this bill. But our Republican friends and colleagues said, oh, no, 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 this is nothing more than an effort to bring good government to Pennsylvania. So now, time has passed. Facts have come to light. We know now things that we only suspected back then. And let's take a short journey and see how the claims of the supporters of voter ID have withstood the cruel glare of facts coming to light. We were told this law would not disenfranchise anybody. Virtually everybody had the photo ID they needed. Over 99% according to the corporate administration. So there was little need to worry. And in fact, that's why the Republicans on party line votes opposed every amendment which would have made it even a tiny bit easier for people to get these IDs. Well, now, the Corbett administration admits that 9.2% of registered voters in Pennsylvania do not have adequate ID. That's 758,000 people, including a quarter of people over 80, a quarter of all African Americans in Pennsylvania, and 1 in 5 voters in the city of Philadelphia. That's terrible. To put it in perspective, the Corbett administration was wrong by over 1,000% in what they said was the number of people who would be disenfranchised. We were also told that we needed a voter ID because of all of the cases of voter fraud that were threatening the integrity of our system. How many cases? Well, that was always sort of vague, but it was a lot. Hell, that's why John McCain lost Pennsylvania last time. It was only by 620,000 votes. That must have been voter fraud. Well, this week we know how many cases there were. You know why? Because the Commonwealth has signed a stipulation in the lawsuit. They signed, Corbett's attorney signed a document stipulating to the following, and this is exactly what the Corbett administration's position in this trial now is. The parties are unaware of any incidents of voter fraud. The Commonwealth will not offer any evidence that in-person voter fraud has in fact occurred in Pennsylvania or elsewhere. Respondents will not offer any evidence that voter fraud is likely to occur in November of 2012 in the absence of this ID. So how many cases do we now know to be threatening the integrity of the voting process? 0. None. Ever. Finally, we were told this bill was not a partisan bill. The Republicans were shocked at the allegations of voter suppression. But then the bill passed and the Republicans suddenly felt safe to tell the truth. House Majority Leader Turzai, the man who brought voter ID to the floor, said we passed this bill to let Mitt Romney win Pennsylvania. The chair of the Republican Party of Pennsylvania was quoted in a recent newspaper article saying he felt giddy at the number of people in Philadelphia who would not be able to vote as a result of this voter ID bill. And we remember Governor Corbett's famous statement about the vote in Philadelphia, keep it down, keep it down. So to recap, we know that this bill steals the votes of hundreds of thousands of us to solve a fake problem for partisan purposes. This bill was passed under false pretenses. That's why I've introduced a bill to repeal the voter ID bill. Our role as legislators is to protect the right to vote, not attack it. It's to preserve the voice of the least powerful, not stifle it. It is to build bridges and ladders between our poorest people in the voting booth, not to erect walls and hurdles. It is to welcome the elderly and disabled into the voting booth, not push them out of it. This right is way too important. Too many people have fought and risked their lives and died for their right to vote. And we owe it to them to stop it. We owe it to Susan B. Anthony and Alice Paul and all those women who left their homes and even went to jail so women could vote. We owe it to Martin Luther King and John Lewis and all those who marched for the Voting Rights Act. We owe it to James Chaney and Andrew Goodman and Michael Schwerner and all those who gave their lives fighting for civil rights. And Benny Lou Hamer, absolutely. And this law, this horrific, self-serving, cynical law, spits in the face of all the people who fought for civil rights in this country. It falls to us, the next generation, to gather our courage and sacrifice what needs to be sacrificed to ensure that America remains a true democracy. Thank you so much.